Welcome to another episode of the Vaal University of Technology Student Academic Development Support and Web Integrated Learning show. We are continuing with speaking to the leadership of the cooperative education, and we are focusing on will. In particular, we are getting to know the various portfolios that constitute the unit. And we have today invited Simon Mohlala, who is the Industrial Liaison Practitioner. We'll get to know him much better. My name is Sam Tsima. I'm anchoring the show today. This show happens once a month, the last Wednesday of the month, around this time. It's becoming a ritual for us. We always look forward and we always wonder who the guest is. Today, we're not wondering. The guest is one of ours, Mr. Simon Mohlala. This is the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. Shows are based on the principle we call the idea. We inform and entertain, develop, educate, empower, and support, associate, and network. I hope we are going to live up to that, Mohlala. That's a big ask. Today we're going to be hearing a lot about you, but let's perhaps just start easy. Maybe acknowledge, of course, the colleagues that are within. Edwin Mavelane, who carries the same title, does the same kind of work, but his time will come. And of course, the leader, this is Eni Lezani. He's just sitting as an observer today from what I heard, because he is also going to have her time in the future. So if you want to tune in, you don't know where to find us in the future, just go to Commercial Television Network on YouTube. You will be able to find us there, or you can go to the LinkedIn page of Commercial Friends and Supporters Club, and of course, Facebook page. Otherwise, we are here. Mr. Mohlala is here. I thought we had lost you, but I'm glad you're back in the Mohlala. Let's get to know you a little bit better. Tell us a bit about yourself. Where do you hail from, and what brought you to the Vaal University of Technology, and when was that?
Okay, good evening, colleagues, and good evening to the audience. I'm from Glencowie. It's in Sekhukhune. It's roughly about 11, 12, 13 kilometers before you get to Jane Fess. So I'm on that R579 road going to Leboagong. So that's where I come from. And I came this side to study. That roughly was in 2006. That's where I came to the Vaal University of Technology to study. Like any other student or a matriculant, after completing that matric, you'd want to go and further study somewhere else. And I happened to know the place called Vereeniging. And that's where my
That must have been a real great trek in those days.
Yeah, even the taxi we use, it was not the quantums that we are having today. It was the Super T. So it will drive for long with a drift noise. By the time we get to Kempton Park, we are very tired. By the time it passes Johannesburg, we are very tired. By the time you get to Vereeniging, you are finished. So that's the long journey it took me to get here. So yeah, that's where I come from. And then I've studied with the university since then, and branched a bit to the Northwest University and came back with the VUT again. And I'm still here. And fortunately, I happen to work within the university in the student recruitment, in the international relations, and then later on joined the cooperative education department, which I'm roughly 11 years now with the department.
Wow, wow. Sure, that very first trip all started there and you never looked back. It's not always the case that you end up working for the university, your alma mater.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's beautiful indeed. Tell us about the day in your life. Of course, without going into details, we're still going to cover some specifics. But just the day in your life, that Mohlala in this kind of a profession.
sure. You know, if I would turn back the hands of time, I think it was more relaxed when I started, but now you come to work and Dr. Muletsana calls you into a meeting and you start running from there. So, um, you know, how we are structured here is mainly in the morning would come in. So our days are different. We've got the Mondays and the Fridays where we'd meet the team for a short prayer, and then from there we branch to our offices to work. And then myself and Mr. Mabelan were mostly closely working together. Then when he calls my surname, I know that there's something happening. And then we either go to his office or he comes to my office and say, what's happening now? How are things looking like? And where are we sharing? Are you taking this or going that way? And that's how we play it. But mainly our daily routine is getting to know who are we forging relations with, agreements that we want to maybe submit to the legal team at the university for their scrutiny, and projects that Dr. Maletsana would have worked on in terms of funding that we would need to implement ourselves, following up on those projects that are already running as to how far are we, any claims for funds that needs to be claimed and all those kind of things. So daily we liaise with external stakeholders. That's our main thing. And the students themselves, like now in the first quarter, that's why we focus on the students. They know about us. Do they know how we can assist them? Those kind of things. So our day also depends on which season of the year are we in. If we are currently on this season, it's planning around the students, getting to know how many are they, how many needs to be placed, where to be placed, where are they from. And then after April, mostly that's where Dr. Mletsan will be coming with different responses of funding she has applied, saying now you need to implement this, implement that, and so forth. Same applies to us, the closer, the end of the year. We focus mainly on what will be happening on the next year, projects that will be coming into the next year, and so forth. And then between June and July, it's mainly focusing on um, projects monitoring, the projects that we're currently running, how are they going, reports, and so forth. So it's structured in that sense.
Mm. Wow, it sounds quite full. What will then be the strategic objectives of a portfolio like this one that you and Dade Mavelane are holding? Without going into details, because we're gonna have a day with any talking strategy, but I'm sure there are some conversations between the three of you around
Yes,
question. I will expect when you go into the industry
yes,
and you want to engage at the highest level, that's where you will start.
yes. Um, Looking at the model or the model in South Africa of universities, the department is mandated to ensure that students are placed in companies, especially for work integrated learning. This work integrated learning is one of the most key um, objectives or primary objectives of the University of Technology, where it it singles it out to or compared to the traditional universities in a sense of having students graduating with the practical experience. And as a result, the department's main role is to ensure that the students are in these companies placed for work integrated learning. And then two, that impacts on the throughput rate of the university. So without this department delivering to that mandate, it means the people that you see during graduations may be less than what you see mostly when there's graduations. So we have much role or impact on the number of people you see on the day of graduation and the number of people you would see or be available on the labor market. So that's how much our role is. But besides that, there are other strategic objectives which I believe Dr. Mletsane would share during a session of interview. So maybe she'll unpack also the other objectives. So, because that's not the only one, but I'm highlighting the main primary objective of the department itself, which is not only at VUT, but also the primary objective of other universities, departments in other universities also.
Mm, mm.
Especially in the
And,
field of
and you, as a custodian of this portfolio, I'm sure you preoccupy yourself with what it means. You know how you dress it up and how you construct it. Someone who hears the title industry liaison practitioner, it sounds quite very complex, but just take it into its own pieces. What are the key pillars that make this, to simplify it for someone who might not be familiar with it?
the role, it's simply engaging external stakeholders,
Mm,
collaborations, and uh, seeking possible means of ensuring that we produce employable graduates. So the role we play daily is just to ensure that um, our students are known out there. We
mm,
give the industry the kind of students or labor force that they're looking for, and they've got a tight relation with us where we get a feedback from them on how are they doing, are we delivering to their expectations, and if not, where should we then upgrade or focus much on or beef up our curriculum on and so forth. So
mm.
it's mainly about that. And
Is this one of the roles that I will find when I do the benchmarks of roles and levels? Is it one of the roles that is easily identifiable in the industry, or is it uniquely VUT or Universities of Technology?
um, you will find it in a different name, but
Yeah.
when it comes to um, how it's structured at VUT, it's very
Mm,
unique. You know, sometimes myself and Mr. Mabelan would say, yeah, no, our work now is beyond what we thought it is. Because Dr. Mletsane would come with different things, you know, would come
yeah,
today and say, this is the direction we're taking and we follow that. And before we think we know, there's another one. So the scope has grown from where we know it
yeah,
when we joined to where it is now. Definitely, if somebody can say, I've done that job before,
yeah.
um, I don't think they've done this one. It's like different.
So it can be very fluid by its own
Yeah,
nature.
exactly.
Because I mean, if we talk about industry, industry is very broad. I mean, the number of industries that you deal with themselves could almost want you to reorganize your whole career.
Exactly. So it's like myself. You look at my title and Mr. Mabilane's title, they are the same. But
Yeah.
in terms of operations, we are totally different. There's somewhere where, yes, it's similar, but
Mm,
from how things have evolved, we are almost doing totally different things, but they are interlinked. I need him, he needs me. You know, he can't do it all by himself. he would take the relay, start here, and I would need to take it further, and so forth. So it has evolved, and it's very broader than just dealing with companies itself. Like now, when we started, we knew it was just dealing with maybe marketing and so forth. Now we have evolved to an extent where you need to be inclined in terms of legal issues, approaches, contracts, management, even contracts drafting and so forth, to understand what constitutes a proper contract for business or service level agreements and so forth. Implementation, understanding and reading the contracts themselves, which is something we never thought we'll deal with. We thought it would be other things, but we found ourselves now understanding and having learned a lot in terms of legal issues and contracts and so forth, which is something that myself, I never thought I'd be in such a space where I deal with contracts. But now it's a daily routine where we draft, read, interpret, implement, and so forth. Even project management, we never thought we'd be dealing with project management, but the nature of the job now has demanded that we now use project management skills and understand how to implement projects and so forth, which is something we never thought we're moving into, but it has much evolved to that level.
Mm, mm. Just for the benefit of our viewers, we are talking to Simon Mohlala, who is the Industry Liaison Practitioner at the Vaal University of Technology. Today, we're looking at the nuts and bolts of that role. And this is a series that we started, and we want to educate our stakeholders out there so that they don't know us just by our titles, but also the details of what we do. And we hope this will make it very easy for us when we engage with the industry partners, when we talk to the students around the role that the will play in their career. And don't be surprised when you see Siseni and the Demavelane sitting in the background, listening very attentively. They have a lot to say, but it's not their turn today. Their time will come. This is the partnership between the leaders and the colleagues in the department. It is very important that we do educate our stakeholders about what we do. So, Ndadem Mohlala, who are your counterparts on the other side? In other words, on the industry side, and what influence do they have in you thinking about your role? In other words, who are the counterparts on behalf of the industry that you talk to, that you deal with daily? Which function of the business is the first point of call or point of contact when you then visit these industries? I hope I'm clear. I'm clear in that. I could see we are losing him. Ndademavelan, I'm sure that one applies to you as well. You probably have an answer to that.
Yeah, no, when he's still reconnecting, I think good evening to the viewers and to all the colleagues. The first contact, it will be the training managers, the people who are in HR or who are responsible for skills development within the companies. Those are the first contact. Then as it goes on, then it will go to the executive, depending at what level are we pitching and who must do what, who the decisions. Because sometimes I may approach an HR somebody only to find out that maybe they have not yet had that plan of taking students, then they still need to consult. Now, when they consult the executive, that's where we also go to our executives to say, Dr. Mletsani, they are bringing their CEO or they are bringing this person who may have some of clarity seeking questions. Could you please come in and help explain? But normally, the people who are responsible, our contact, it's the training and development people within the industry. Those are our first contact.
Mm. And I can imagine that when you visit them and they host you in their boardroom, the first thing they will want you to take note of is that this is not the only training intervention we do in the industry. Has
Yes.
that happened? They give you a
Yeah, it
lecture.
has happened. It has happened a lot where they indicate that this is not the only training, and you also find out that sometimes they want to partner with the university on multiple projects, not only on the training. They may want to come into bursaries. They may want to come into other functions that may help them in BEE scoring and all this. So sometimes you go there for one thing, only to come back with more than what you bargained for. But in that case, then when we come back with such information, we always go back to Dr. Blitz and say, I think this is not in our area. Then she will guide us, or she will consult internally our stakeholders to say, these aspects, it can be handled by this particular office or this particular department. So that is where we deal with them. And also the issue of VUT not being the only institution that may want to
Yes.
take the
I
students.
was
So
going to come to that to say, don't you sometimes collide at the corridors of corporates with other fellow universities?
yeah, no, we do collide, but now then it goes back to the incentive. What are you bringing with? What is it that makes you unique from other institutions? So as Mr. Mohlala has said before, I think the issue of the funding somehow give us an edge, because some institution may avoid it due to the administration that comes with it. Then when it comes to VUT, with the support of Dr. Mlezani, we are able to say on our side, as companies, provided they did not have a budget, maybe for the stipend of the student, we are able to say we will be able to provide a stipend from whatever the funders. Therefore, all we need is your facilities and the expertise to can train the students. So that's where we come in. Then other institutions, yes, they follow suit. And then otherwise, it will also depend on the academic performance of the student at times to say, what is it that the company is looking for? As Mr. Mohlala has said, when we, in the first quarter, are looking at how many students needs to be placed, where are they from, the issue of where are they from as well takes or plays a role, because a company in Bloemfontein, for an example, it may want people who are from and around that area because as part of their social corporate investment or whatever the reasons, they may want to develop students from there. So it differs, yes, but somehow we are able to navigate that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, a role like this, and I know Sis Mlezani is listening, a role like this can make you to think that it's nothing else but operational. But I would like to believe that there's a lot that happens before you hit the ground running. Now, I'm sitting there and saying, like, wow, sounds very, very beautiful role to have. You know, you're on campus, you visit the industry, you talk to the training managers, you talk to the funders. But I'm sitting and thinking now, come the beginning of the year, and then you think of 2025 in the each compartment in terms of your own scorecard or in terms of own responsibility. Remember, you still have a career to run. Now, when you sit down at the beginning of the year and you project into the year, what are the sort of like logical compartments or logical things that you put in place that must be there when you, like you said, I didn't just visit the industry. I did 1, 2, 3. And like everybody else who planned their year. Now you are sitting with a pen, we haven't started running. What are the building blocks of the year for a role like this? Because I can imagine it must be very emotionally draining when you think about what you have to do ahead of the year. Am I right?
Yes, no, you are absolutely right. I think the most important thing at the beginning of the year, you need to know the estimation of the numbers. How many students would you like to place, or how many deserve to be placed?
Mm,
Then, secondly, you'll have to look into the education landscape itself, because as you visit these companies, there has been transformation from what they used to be, others what they used to know, and what it is now. For
yeah,
typical example, when universities of technology moved from the national diploma into the diploma, so you have to be in a position to can explain what is the difference. So
yeah,
meaning, not only are you seeking opportunities for students, but you are also educating the industry as to the transformation, as to what is happening, how is it going to work out from here going forward, and what is their expected role? Because as the industry, there's a role that they need to play, there's a role that the institutions needs to play, and then where do we match? What is our common goal, of which, given our country and what we need, the skills, the technical skills, and well-being in each area for universities of technology. If you understand that, then you are able to convince the companies and show them the benefits of, in the long run, their tax rebates, their whenever they report, these are the benefits of them having the students on board. So
Mm,
it is multitude, but you are able to dissect it depending on the industry as to where are they, what is their understanding, and what do you come up with as the institution.
mm, mm. Am I right to say that although it's a portfolio, is a role, you could almost project manage it year in, year out?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there are targets every year. So
Yeah, yeah, and there could be some milestones that you can always map in anticipation for the whole year, and that should then become your guideline.
yes, because in most of the cases, ideally, we are competing with our previous results. So if previously 2024 we're able to do this much, then when we reflect to say what were the hurdles that we need to come over, then we plan according to that. That this is what we experienced last year. These were the challenges, and this is how we are going to go over them. So
Mm,
that's that planning, reflecting at the end of the year. You reflect on the challenges that you've had, and then what is it, mitigating factors that you can bring in so that you can resolve whatever the challenge and move forward.
mm. You know, where I'm getting to with this that line of questioning, not questioning, sorry, of conversation.
Yeah. No.
I, I want people to say, "I would love to do this,"
Mm.
because, but I also want them to understand that you may not come across an advert out there.
Yes.
Therefore,
Yeah.
you it's a type of a role that you can go into an institution of learning and create it, and they might call it something else. Now, how much of it, in terms of its growth and success, is more of a self-direction, and how much of it is more of a prescription or description or design by the university?
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't say, I may say it's 50-50 because
Mm,
we can't say there's a prescription per se. Now, when you go into the industry, when you talk to the industry about the needs, your training needs as the institution, you get to a point where if a company does not comply or does not meet, because it is not necessarily about a box ticking, as the institution, together with our internal stakeholders, being the faculties, we're able to say, Company X, it is willing to take these students, but now they have a challenge with probably the qualifications of the mentors or one or two, three things. Then, how do we, as the institution, assist them on how to circumvent what they may perceive as a hurdle to what the institution expect from them. So
mm,
as Mohlala has said, so we are working both as much as we are working with external. There are cases where we have to consult internally the custodians of the academic programs themselves to say company X, they want to train, but now between the supervisor and the mentor, who is mostly qualified, what is it that they must be in possession of, what is it that is needed. Then in that way, we are able, so it was not prescriptive to say it's either this or the highway. So it is all about the common goal, because at the end of the day, these students, they are not necessarily trained for the sake of being trained. The industry is also building in a pipeline of future employees. So they have the program of their own as the industry, where they need to match the expectation of the institution plus theirs, so that at the end of the day, when they declare a student competent, then they are able to can even absorb such students should opportunities arise.
which should actually be the driving motive, you know.
Yes.
It shouldn't be, yes, we comply with the requirements of certain laws, but in actual fact, lack of talent can bring down the industry.
Mm.
So now, Madam Sala, welcome back. and you can come in here, Ndate Mabelan, before you hand over to Ndate Mohlala as well, just to complete the trail of thought we've had. Reflecting on yourself, following on the point of self-direction, self-leadership, self-guidance. I don't think Mimlezani spent sleepless nights saying, I wonder if Simon and Edwin know what they have to do.
Yes.
I'm sure you invite yourself into her office and show up and demonstrate to her how much equality you are becoming.
Yeah.
As you are being refined by this rule. Now, somebody sitting out there may come in and may not do what you do and may wonder why they're not successful. Yeah. Because this is not one of those unique common jobs. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, you are right. And I think, again, you hit the nail on the head when you spoke about self-leadership. You have to be able to lead yourself before you can lead others, meaning you don't have to be reminded of your tasks. Every now and then, you need to know what is it that is expected of me. Then where you have a challenge or you need assistance, then you can go and consult. So if you know what is it that is expected of you, performing your tasks, and then every now and then you go and you provide the report to the line manager. This is how far we've gone. This is the challenge that we've met. This is the solution that we are suggesting. And then she can give us an overhead uh, program to say, okay, this is the approach that we need to take. But yes, self-leadership, where you understand what is expected of you, and then you do exactly that, and then you seek assistance or you seek knowledge. At some point, you can even go as much as saying, I need this particular skill. I need to understand, let's just say, marketing more. Then Dr. Mlezani will say, enroll for a short course in marketing, because as you, in the process of performing your work, you get to realize that there are certain skills that you may not have. Then that's where you go back to her and say, hey, I need assistance with this. Then she can assist with, this is where you can get it. Read this document, read this policy, familiarize yourself with this, do this short course. And that is part of self-directing, self-leading, and then going back for advice and assistance where it is needed.
Wow. That sounds like an issue of self-accountability versus freedom here.
Yeah, actually,
This job gives you so much freedom, but at the same time, if you're not self-accountable, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, you know, the sad part with that is, remember now it's on you. You will run around. Nobody's going to push you. The work itself and what you need to achieve will keep you at work even when other colleagues are going home. Nobody's going to say, don't go home. But the work itself will tell you, no, I need to be early at work so that I can push 1, 2, 3. You know, that's how it is. And we're talking, myself with Mr. Mabelane today, structuring our leave to say, I'll be leaving this coming week and so forth. And he's like, yeah, no, I also need to go that other week. But we'll see how things will unfold. So even the leave itself, it's not about you just deciding I'm going. No, as much as we will apply for approval, but your work will tell you whether you've got a breathing space or not. And if you don't have, then you just succumb to that and we move on. Yeah, but we are used to that. We've adjusted so far. It wasn't easy. At some point, definitely we were challenged ourselves, but now I think we can balance our way out. Now, like if you look, schools will be closing. I've got a family to also attend to. Then that's why I say maybe currently the breathing space is there. I can still work even though I'm on leave. I'm home just to deal with the urgent things and still have my time with family and so forth. So those are the things that we also realize now, even now during the show, that actually we have progressed and we've developed ourselves and to something that we were not before. So that's how the game is. And for 11 years, it can definitely see to us trial and error. And so far, I think we're cruising very nicely. Thank you.
Mm. This is fascinating. I mean, you can see that I want to drill down into this for somebody that really thinks they can do this. We need to make it clear that this. So I've been in relationship with UT for many years, and I should be asking this, or I should be directing this to Sesimlezane, Enimlezane. I have never once heard that the top leadership of the university had to come down to the cooperative education because things have fallen apart or things are not functioning. And then I
Yeah.
ask myself, are all is it because of exactly the points we are addressing now, or is it because of the model of the university, or does it happen perhaps we just don't see it?
Well, sometimes we even wonder if management, I mean the top executives, do know that we exist here, because they only see documents coming out, and you see and hear them talking about the department, but honestly we have never seen them coming to us. So you wonder if
So there has never
I'm
been
doing
problems
well.
there's never been problems that make them to come down, because I
Exactly.
can imagine that if you want to see them come down, just do something untoward.
Yeah. Yeah, but now when we're standing, we're not sure whether are we really doing what the university requires, or we are silent somewhere, or what is. But we definitely know we are delivering, and when we compare ourselves to the previous year.
I'm asking Sis Amy to note this down because I want her to answer it for us next time when we call here. Because sometimes you can be so good that you actually
Definitely.
forgot.
Exactly.
Right?
So I think we are good. I think we are good because there's no complaint. But sometimes, like when you have a dog, it will be good to hear it barking. Sometimes you say, no, there's a dog.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure you do invite them to your annual industry partners gala dinners, and they get to.
Yes,
Get
we
to hear.
do. We do, but it would be nice for them to come to us at the department and sit with us. That one, it's a different setup. Same applies is like when we take the documents to them to say, management, please sign this agreement with forging, and it would be different if you just have a visit from them and say we are sitting, we are discussing, and just to get the acknowledgement definitely from them. We do hear them at the functions acknowledging, but I think it will have a different feeling if it's face to face, sitting around a table, just talking.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the magnitude of this,
That would make
of the impact you are making. That I'm saying,
yeah.
I'm just saying this because of the magnitude of the impact you are making to one of the critical stakeholders of the country, being the industry.
Yes. I believe so too, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Sesimlezane has noted it down. Maybe she will sneak the video of this conversation to the higher leadership, especially this snippet, and say, here, what the team is saying. But yeah, but it was. I just thought that for all these years, I mean, this department has been just what I know it to be. And I'm not saying it because I buy anybody's face. It's a fact, and not only you alone, but many, many that graduated through this program in your own department that are doing great things out there. We need to give credit where credit is due, but we're not complaining, right?
No, we're not complaining at all.
Yeah, beautiful. We are affirming ourselves. So now coming back to the role. I look at the person and the Mohlala, and I look at the role, and I said, who has refined who?
The role has refined Simon Mohlala.
Tell us more.
because you're dealing with different people of different personalities, you
Mm.
end up adjusting, and you can read the language, and just marketing skills, professional skills, you know, documentation, the look of your document, how professional it is. Like I said, I didn't think I'll ever deal with contracts in my life. Now I'm able to even draft contracts, interpret things, and foresee possible disputes around the contract and close those loopholes and those kind of things. So it's something totally, totally different that I thought I could see myself in. Even when I applied for the position before, that's not what I thought I'd be doing. I thought it would be just dealing with companies and so forth. And also, it has built us um, a strength and patience in dealing with people, because um, there's different people that you interact with on daily basis, to an extent that you are even patient to take a call from a call center calling you to say they are selling something, an insurance or what. You already don't have that negativity around them, because any call that comes in, you're not sure who's who. You know, you take each and every call that comes in, and then you find that it's a call center selling some insurance, and no, thank you, thank you. You never know. Tomorrow you might be knocking on their door and saying, I've got students in marketing, please. So for me personally, it has changed how I do things, and I'm hoping there's certain skills that I think it's still sharpening me on, which I believe surely in the next coming few years I'll be better in that, and I'll be a better person definitely.
Mm. Mm. From that experience, will you say that it's a good thing for anybody else out there that is lucky to have a role in a job in their life, to allow their jobs to transform them? Is that the advice you'll give?
Yes, 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 yes. Actually, you sometimes I even wonder when I look at other people's jobs and ask myself that question, to say, how are they feeling? What growth do they have? And I think I'll be frustrated if I happen to live here for another role somewhere and it doesn't give me the same feeling that I have currently. Because
Mm.
I'm a satisfied person, to be honest with you. I don't have any issue. I'm just fine. I'm okay with the job. I don't even see it as a job anymore. For me, it's like when something is part of your life, it is like that. So it doesn't matter. You can ask me on a Sunday, on a Saturday. It doesn't matter. It's even now at 6:45. It doesn't matter. It's part of the roles, and we are used to it. And also, I think it's made easier by the colleagues. Because if the environment is not good, it becomes then hostile for you. Then you won't even see any other positive things around that. But if
Mm.
the environment is good, then you've got that platform to grow, develop, and see yourself somewhere, and so forth. So for me, this department provides that space for me. So I'll be very challenged. It has set a tone for me, meaning if I happen to go elsewhere, I'm possibly expecting the same kind of environment. And if it's not there, I don't know how miserable I'll be, but yeah, I don't think I'll be a good person. So with the workload also, honestly speaking, the workload is too much, very much, but we maneuver it very easily because of that environment also that it's enhancing, and the support you get, and it's very much easy. Like last week, was it last week? The last show we had, um, remember Mr. Mavlan was in Durban. He had to leave Durban to Nelspruit, left Nelspruit to Bushbuck Ridge. And, you wouldn't do that. If you check out the kilometers and the hours that he was driving and at what time and so forth, it's not an easy thing to do. But when you're used to the job, you end up maneuvering from that. He just came back from Bloemfontein and Kimberley yesterday. So you can imagine. So those are long distances, it's training, it's on your body and so forth. But when you are used to it, you have means of when to calm down, just to recoup and then focus on other things, then be on the road again and so forth. So we are used to have adjusted to it, and it fulfills us, and we are growing from that. And just meeting different people makes us learn different things from different people.
Mm. That's why it's a role. It's not a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that, I mean, I can sense a very deep personal transformation experience there. Uh, we touch on the things you work towards in terms of scorecard and measurements. I don't think we can spend some time in there unless you have any point to raise that speaks to how you actually self-evaluate. I mean, seeing that the big bosses allow Sismulezane and you guys to do your things. So, but then I think it will be quite helpful for self to do self-measurement, self-evaluation in a more structured way. Maybe just for somebody who's not part of you.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that?
Yeah. Like mainly around this quarter, that's where we focus on how many students do we have that needs to be placed, and then when do you place them. So the time frame it takes you to place the number of students, also the quality of where you place them. Are they being absorbed beyond that? And out of the number of students you've placed, how many of them are being absorbed, and where are they? Are they having long-term contracts, short-term contracts? What's happening around their lives? And um, you will also get correspondence from people you don't even know sometimes that you have placed. And that is how we measure to say we've done well. If I had 100 students and out of 100 students, 8 is placed, and the 80, when you look at the companies where they are placed, it's good quality companies, sustainable, historic companies, um, you know, uh, where you see a potential for them to be absorbed, even on a short-term contract and so forth. When you look at that, that's when we also evaluate ourselves, especially on the work integrated learning. And then in the number of forging relationships, it's how many companies have we forged relations with? Is the relationship effective or is it dormant? What's happening around it? That's also how we measure ourselves. So um, those are the few of examples I can mention, but I believe Dr. Mletsane also would come from the strategic level as to how do we measure our success as the university, as the department, and to check also if we are really doing what is expected of us.
We see it when we come for those industry partners, gala dinners. We see it, evidence. And I guess the brands that you are represented in such gatherings, it speaks for itself. Says, any you are listening, please can carry on doing those industry partners gala dinners. It's not a waste of money. It's a showcasing of the real partnership between industry and the institutes of learning. I think it's valuable. I'm talking from experience, and it is always great. But do students really hear the message? I always meant to ask you this question. Well, you are crafting and clocking kilometers left, right in the country in the name of students. Do they hear the message? Do we talk to them loud enough? Are we engaging with them enough for them to see the travel you go through, just
They,
for
they
them to
definitely,
release the space?
they definitely, sometimes some of them, they say they don't believe, but you'll be there and they tell you they don't believe it's happening. Mr. Mabilani is, with the students also, he's one person who's very patient to talk to them. You'd even, if you come to the department, just spend roughly 3 to 4 hours. There's no way within that 3 hours or four, you don't get a knock and that there's a student looking for him. And if you look at your watch, by the time the student goes in there, minimum 15, 30 minutes or so. That's how long they stay in there. And mostly they would come in groups sometimes, or that's what encourages them. But an hour also would go by with the students talking to him, and he's explaining this and he's explaining. So the message is very loud out there. And the students do see the efforts we're making, and most have benefited. And alma mater to them matters most because of us. Some would say, I used to come to your department. Do you still remember me? No, I don't remember you. No, you did place me at this company, so and so, and now I'm working there. Others come back. Mr. Mugiba, remember you had an interview with him also. He's
Yeah.
a student who came through us the very same way. And I don't know, so far, if I remember, we've got more than 50 students that he has taken into his companies. And majority of them, as we speak, are running big projects for big companies like Water and so forth under his wing. And this is a student that just came in here, then Co-op placed him somewhere, and now he's there. And he feels like, no, I owe it back to the university to host other students going forth
Mm.
and make sure that I pay them a stipend. Even if we got a stipend, he tops it up and so forth. So that definitely there's something good that we're doing to them, and the message is loud to them. They can remember that there are other students that would still need an opportunity like I needed it before.
Mm. Wonderful, wonderful. Those are good stories. Of course, we don't want to be arrogant and think we know it all. So it's easy to get to the top, but it's difficult to stay there. Now, I want to hear from you. Which are the other organizations out there that you would love to benchmark yourself with? Don't have to mention them by names, uh, uh, so that you remain relevant, so that you don't become complacent and think that you know it all.
Actually, as a department, we affiliate with other professional bodies. Um, there's the World Association on Cooperative Education, which is a global network of people doing almost the same job as we do. And I know Dr. Mletsani is also serving in the TENSA, which is the Technological Higher Education Network. We'll be having a sitting sometime in April. It's on the 9th of April, where we are now working on policy to standardize and guide um, the practices within the work integrated learning industrial space, which is network with other universities, uh, colleagues that are doing the same job as us. We get to know and learn the best practices. How are they handling issues like this? Because there's other things that are involved in just the job itself. So that's how we benchmark and help ourselves develop and know what is happening out there, and make sure that we also um, raise our bar very high and do better things compared to just doing things in isolation and not knowing that what you're trying to work on, others have done that before. And also to look into research papers, and also us trying to write, like with the conferences that we attend, we share our knowledge and also learn from other colleagues from other universities.
Mm, mm. And of course, I'm sure you do deposit your best practices into those structures as well.
Definitely, like we're saying, attending the policy developing conference that we'll be having with TENSA, definitely it's for us to make inputs in that policy that will be crafted there, so that at least there's some knowledge that we've put in and practices that help the industry itself to grow, be sustainable, and also close gaps and loopholes that are within the industry.
Mm, beautiful. Sounds like you are part of a very exciting movement out there beyond the university itself. I'm glad to hear that you are part of such structures, because in my view, the only way we can make impact at the national level is when we collaborate. So is there any particular philosophy around collaboration? I know you're collaborating, but is there a philosophy that guides you, or is it part of the strategy? What is the
Not
vision?
sure. I think Dr. Mletsani would be very relevant to answer to that during
Yeah,
during a
yeah,
session, because mainly, if you look at how we are structured, we get the mandate and we implement. So as
yeah.
to mainly, was it part of the strategy on their side, or it's part of her philosophy? Because some of the things that we are doing, it's some of their philosophy that she has. So we end up adapting to that also ourselves. So I think that would be best to be answered by her.
Yeah, I'll reserve that for her. Before she tells me the strategy, I want to know what philosophical perspective that she brings into deciding on doing the things you are doing, because it's quite amazing. Yeah, so we're coming towards the end of the show. Thank you so much. I didn't think we will cover so much in such a short period of time. That shows that you're living and breathing your your role. How has this conversation so far enriched you and helped you to reflect on your journey in the Mhlala? We are wrapping up now, so basically we're moving towards the closure.
Yeah. Sometimes when you are having something that you do daily, like we say, we are used to it, you don't realize the impact that it has on other people's lives, and also how much effort you are putting in this. But you only realize that when you start talking about it, that how much of work you put in this thing. So that's the main thing that I can pick up from the conversation that we had, that actually um, we are running a very good race, and acknowledge the fact that I'm working with a good team and we are working very well together, and we share the pattern very well. If he plays from here, give me, and we never reflect on those things mostly. But this platform and this conversation has just triggered in my mind that actually you are in a good working space, you are working well with your colleagues, and you are doing a very good work and of a high impact in other people's lives.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and the perspective you shared with us. I can only see much bigger milestones ahead of yourself and together with the colleagues. Ntate Velani, I know it's not your platform. You coming in next time in the future. Any closing remarks based on what you have had so far from the conversation with Ntate Mohlala? Just closing remarks from you.
No, I think he has said a mouthful, and yes, we are working in a good team, and from the students in training up to the director, we all synchronized and we know what is expected of each other, and we are working very well. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to use the opportunity to talk to you, Ntate Velani, to plug into what I couldn't ask Ntate Mohlala today, because you are doing similar role, but we will still decide when we're going to have you. It won't be soon, but definitely before the end of the year, we'll be sitting with you to just, because I believe this is the glue that binds the university and the industry. And then we have to really master its ins and out. Thank you so much, Vlad. I know, and also to you, Siseni, in the background. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure you're reflecting quite deeply about what was said here today, and I hope most of it positively. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. This was the monthly show, the VUT Student Academic Development Support and Work Integrated Learning, and we were honing into the role that the Simon Mohlala plays, which is the Industry Liaison Practitioner. Sounds very something in the sky, but I think he has really unpacked it, and I hope there are many of you out there that will want to do this kind of work. It's very important for our country, the economy, and the institution itself. My name is Sam Zimmer, and this was Komaza Television Network, our video streaming platform on which we host this show on a monthly basis, the last Wednesday of every month, 1800 hours, South Africa Standard Time. We're looking forward to welcome you next month. Next month is a very busy month in terms of holidays. We'll figure out how we fit it in, but otherwise, we are here. Thank you so much. Colleagues, stay in the studio as I disconnect with our viewers.